folks, welcome back to the channel. Chris with One.Daily. I wanted to jump on here and share some really neat old knives with you. If you like K-Bar, this one's for you. There's a couple knives that I have a collection of K-Bar. I've been kind of telling you guys about it. I've shown maybe one or two, I don't even know. But I've kind of had to make some choices on what I need to let go for right now, and they're tough. But these knives, I'm pretty sure I'm letting these go. There are a couple that are in an auction already, I wanted to show them to you before I let them go because I just think they're really, really neat and kind of have cool story. Or not story with one of them, but I've got a piece of ephemeral that goes with one. And they're just beautiful. So I wanted to share them with you guys. I haven't done a what am I toting, but I wanted to show you guys. I've had this in my pocket, this GEC 86 for 3 weeks. 3 weeks, and it just kind of fulfills everything. It's got, I don't know, that clip point is super cool. It's got lots of patina on it, some good colors right now. I don't know if any of that picks up or not. I mean, it's basically just my box cutter Apple knife or whatever. And I got it in a, this gentleman, Doug Browning, makes a slip. It's cool. He does really good leather work. I found him on Facebook, and it's a pretty nice slip. Anyways, to the video. Check it out. Tell me what you think. I just love to hear any comments you guys have if they're, about the knives. Enjoy the video, and thanks for checking it out. Okay. All right. So the first knife we're going to take a look at today is this really, really neat, what would be called basically referred to as a boy's knife, and it's a Union Cutco Olean, and the stamp on this guy is pretty hard to see. It's faded out, although you got it there. But man, this is look at that spear point blade. Okay, so this is Union Cutco Olean, New York, pre-1923, because in 1923 they started using some K-Bar on a lot of their knives, at least in some regard. They would have K-Bar, and then on the back side of the blade they would have the Union Cutco stamp. Or sometimes they would just have K-Bar on the shield and then keep the Union Cutco on the front of the tang stamp. But this is, and you can see that it's hand peened here. There's no, the pins aren't spun, which apparently started around 1920. So if you have hand-peened pins on stuff, there's a very good chance it's pre-1920. So this could be like basically between 1911 and 1923 is how you would probably date something like this. I'm thinking early 20s or like the end of the teens, but just look at the jig pattern on this knife. I mean, that's like some kind of dark, I think it would be considered green bone. I know they used green bone a little bit later, and I have some knives with green bone on it. It's very, very dark, rich green that you need a lot of light to see, but it looks a lot like the case tested Barlow I have with green bone. It's like a very similar thing, but I don't know that for sure. But the jig pattern on these is just really, really beautiful, and the handles on this are perfect, crack free. I just love that Federal shield that's on there. It just screams, old, and that it's in such a good shape. I look at this and I think like, if GEC, they pulled a lot from Union Cutlery, because Titty Out, the brand that they make, or Union Cutlery bought Titty Out Cutlery and used their machinery and whatnot. And Union was based in Titty Out for a short period of time. There were knives made there before they moved to Olean, New York. So they're very much connected. And I've got another, and I'll read a little bit about one of those connections coming up here. But very, very cool knife. You know, good shape for such an old knife. Really, really nice and strong. But oh yeah, so Great Eastern Cutlery makes a what they call the boys knife, and it's a 3 3/8 single blade. Sometimes there's two blades in it too, but they do make a single blade spear point little knife like this that is just, you know, it's just one of those sizes. It's just kind of the perfect knife for your little, like, what you would need if you know, to just have a knife on you all the time. But I just think this is a really, really beautiful little knife, and I'm sad to see this guy go. It's currently up. And then this next one is pretty neat. I only have, this is like my only fish knife, and I think it's gonna go. I've had to make some choices, you know what I mean? These are the ones that kind of aren't making the grade out of my K-Bar Union Cutlery collection. So we've got this extremely well-preserved K-Bar Union Cutco on the back, so pre-1951 fish knife. Stainless and with a big fat beautiful, like, perfect etch on it. Let me get that. Let's see, stainless steel on both blades with the patent number. Basically unused. I don't know, maybe it got cut, maybe it cut a couple things, but that could just be rubbed too, I don't know. But really, really good shape, very cool knife. I love these yellow handles. You know, there are no cracks in them or anything, but the yellow, I don't know if it's considered Delrin. It's definitely different than current day case Delrin or anything like that. But very cool. So you see K-Bar now is, you know, in the mix, because this is from 1920. This would be from 23 to 51, somewhere. That's how you would date this guy. And what a killer piece. And I guess I'm going to let that go reluctantly. But next up is a really nice one. This I would call green bone. I mean, look at that jigging pattern on this guy. Was getting very closely related to case. There were, you know, this is in the family of a case knife. Kinfolk, I think, was using some of this. I know that this jig pattern, Standard Knife Company, which I had, has a very similar jigging pattern to this. But this knife is just is a regular jack, and it is just marked K-Bar. So this one dates here. I've got the book here on the Tang stamps. This is the Houston Price one. Knife Doctor uses a bunch. So all capital letters. No Olean, New York. And it's not the K-Bar low. And then here it gets into lowercase numbers from 51 into the 70s that goes to a lowercase. And this guy has on, you can see, is still all the uppercase, but there is no Olean, New York stamp. So down here it says K-Bar, usually paired with Union Cut marking, 1923 to 51. So usually implies not always. And so I am assuming, now this knife has been cleaned, meaning like basically that blade had been restored. And you can see it's an excellent job, like way better job. Like, I'm not capable of doing this job. And this is a knife that So anyways, 1911 to 1923 to 1951. I placed this like right at the very, very end of before it went to the lowercase letters. So I would say I read somewhere, and I can't track it down again, but that this happened sometimes like 1948 to 1950, 51 type of thing, where it was just like you would find a couple knives with just K-bar on it, and not associated with the Union Cutco, because after World War II, which this has brass springs, or brass liners, pardon me. After World War II, they were so well known for being K-bar because of some of the World War II knives that they made that they dropped the Union Cutco, which was before that always just their name. Yeah, this one here, I looked it up somewhere. We've got a regular. Oh, I didn't look it up. It doesn't matter. I don't need to look it up. But that's a regular jack. So it's basically the same size as a case 31 pattern, if you're familiar with that. With the match strike pull, just very beautiful. No cracks or anything. Those handles are really, really gorgeous. And I don't know if you call it green bone. It's the time period for green bone. You know what I mean? That late 40s, that was kind of what was going around. And I have another, I have a trapper, a K-bar Union Cutco trapper from this time period. Kind of, I assume it to be late 40s, or it might have been late 30s. I'm not sure, but it's definitely green bone, and you guys will see that one coming up. But this is one that I am unfortunately letting go. And then next up, we've just kind of got an amazing, I mean, I think it's amazing. We've got a fork and knife Hobo, big old K-bar, beautiful, perfect bone. Look at the jigging and the bone on that. Now, this is an earlier piece, and you can tell that, the jigging is much more in line with this knife. Like, it's much more similar to that, if you can tell. But this guy is the fork and knife Hobo, and it's easy to get out, but I have ruined my fingernails over going through knives the last few days. And it's in, the blade is in pretty darn, it's close to full, it's in pretty good shape. It's been loved a little bit, but what's really, really neat is right here on the blade, it's got a full etch, and it says Lucker, Lucker Sales Company. You've got the Olean, New York stamp on there. And this knife I place definitely pretty much for sure in the 20s. And I'll show you why in a minute. And it has, where is it? So, because see, K-bar was not yet on the Tang stamp. K-bar was just like a nickname that they came up with that they started to become known for. But this is a Union Cutlery. And it's got the patent mark here, and I don't see a patent number. It just says patent. So, and I'm not an expert, so I don't know if the patent number is rubbed off somewhere, or if patent became just what it was at a certain time. If I dug into the other book, it would help me out, but I hadn't. But killer knife, of course, on these that they come apart. Let's see. And come apart, and it's just really in neat, perfect, not perfect shape. Like, you can see the blade's a little short. It only goes right to the edge of the bolster, so that should have been longer. But for the most part, for a knife of this age, I mean, it got used, but in pretty much flawless condition, other than a little bit of use from being, more than likely pushing 100 years old, if not 100 years old, because I think, and somebody correct me if you're a K-bar expert, Union Cutco expert, I think because it says K-Bar on the shield and nowhere on a tang, that places it closer to 1923. But what's neat about this guy is I also have, I tracked down, because I wanted to find out what Lucker Sales Company was. And I tracked it down, and it's a, I guess it was just a, not necessarily a hardware store, but I think it was like an everything type of store. Now, this is a receipt for a Mohawk radio tube, and it's got the tube numbered here, power pack for Mohawk, right? Because you used to have and some resistors and whatever, and so because you used to have tube radios. So, but it's dated July 19th, 1929, and I could not figure out when they completely closed down. In fact, there's a chance they're still in operation somehow in Minneapolis, Minnesota. But I just thought it was super cool to have kind of tracked down what that that etch on that blade is all about. You know, it's like, because it's also an advertising piece, and to me that makes a knife like this, gives it another dimension, that it's like associated with either this store, whether this is a hardware store or what it is. I think they might just be an importer of some type, but like this knife definitely was sold at this store in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and made for them. And this says 1929, which very much in the right. You know, this knife, I would say, is probably made between 1923 and 1929 is what I'm kind of putting on it, because in the 30s things changed, but also, like I said, you know, like K-Bar is only on the shield. But really, really neat group of knives here that was part of my K-Bar collection, that K-Bar Union Cutco collection that I am, I guess, parting ways with reluctantly, but I'm doing it so I can save the pieces in that collection that I, you know, really, 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 really love. That out of these three, to be honest with you, like most people would probably choose the Hobo. This knife to me is, this is a cool one. This is a cool one. The size, the simplicity, you know, and then relation to GEC. And so I wanted to quickly, because I found some interesting conflicting information about K-Bar in this book, and it's one of the things, and it ties in with Great Eastern Cutlery in a way, and I'll show you how it does so. So right here it says in the Houston book, okay, according to legend, this last trademark came from a testimonial letter, right? K-Bar, we've heard this story maybe. It was written by an old trapper whose life had allegedly been saved in a bear fight by a well-made Union Cutlery Company knife. Due to his lack of education, the written account of how he had been able to kill a bar was shortened and appeared as K-Bar. A trademark was born, and K-Bar name soon became more popular than the Union Cutlery name stamping. During World War II, countless troops were exposed to the brand stamped on the blades of their reliable U.S. Navy Mark II and U.S. Marines 1219C2 knives, and that timeless design became famously known as a K-Bar. Regardless of whether the knife in hand was made by Union Cutlery Company or another equally respected American manufacturer in 1951, the corporate name was changed to K-Bar Cutlery Company, Inc., and the tang stamp was changed from K-Bar to K-Bar and then 1954, I'm not going to read anymore, but so it was just such a legend that even some knives that were not made by Union Cutlery, just knives that were, you know, Marine issued knives, became known as K-Bar, even though they weren't. It was so popular they changed the name. But here, this is the Great Eastern Cutlery book, and this book is great to talk about a lot of the beginnings of some of these companies, and where members from, foremen and cutlers from different companies kind of like began and then spread out through the knife making industry, because that's, they all, anyway. So I'm going to read here quickly. So let's see. It's talking about the relationship that Union Cutlery had to Case, or Titty Out Cutlery had to Case, because Union Cutlery bought out Titty Out. So Titty Out Cutlery Company. Remember that Andrew Case did work for the Union Cutlery Company when it left Titty Out, and is credited for coming up with the famous K-Bar name. Although not from an illiterate trapper's note about killing a bear, as many would like to think, but in reality as a close likeness to Case Bros, purely a marketing scheme that was expanded and romanticized. So they're saying that he said K-Bar sounds like Case Bros. K-Bar, Case Bros. And that is, like, finding information like that is what just like blows my hair back about this stuff. And in that book, like, that guy's just a dope collector, and he just like researches all this stuff, interviews all these people, and like researches all of the historical documents to come up with kind of an impression of, what was really happening, as opposed to what we hear or whatever, or what is like common knowledge now, which I think it's common knowledge that K-Bar was Killabar, which, if you think about, like, and the more that I read that book also, these guys, they weren't all just great people. You know what I mean? They made really good knives, but it was a tough dog eat dog time in America. Okay, like, the U.S. cutlery business was not only a cutlery business, it was cutthroat. And I think that, and this was like the dawn of advertising, right around the turn of the century. Like, advertising was, knives with like stuff written on them, and so, like, somebody shrewd like Andrew Case came up with K-Bar as a marketing scheme because it sounded very much like Case Bros. And then a story gets told that it's Killabar somewhere down the road, and I think K-Bar is still running with that story and trading on it to this day. And who knows which one of those books is right. Either one of them could be wrong. To me, a marketing scheme sounds much more believable and in line with the people that were running these companies at that time, and is much more believable than somebody killing a bear with a knife, I think. But I think it's fun to believe whatever. It's all just fun and collecting. So these are some knives that are moving out of my collection. They will be on eBay. These two will be sooner than later. And I just wanted to share them with you guys before they're gone, because I think it's really cool. And don't worry, I have more Union Cutco and K-Bar that I'm letting these go so that I can hold on to those ones. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed some of the video. Let me hear you in the comments. What do you think? Which book do you believe? I don't care. They could both be full of it. You know what I mean? Like, just one author's opinion compared to another. Anyway, found it interesting. All right, guys, have a great day, and I will hear from you, talk to you in the comments. Cool.